Welcome to Find Your Feet, a grounding reading with Chrysalis Invictus Tarot. I have for you tonight a reading that perhaps it will help you ground, even just in its energy, but we're taking a look at maybe areas that need to be grounded, or perhaps areas that are heavy. And I am calling on the elements of earth and fire to guide us in this practice, in this reading. And I want to acknowledge the people in the not so distant past or in still today who are persecuted for the tools that we use freely for tarot, specifically the Romani people. And I'm sending healing back to those people, sending healing to all of our ancestry. So calling in your guides, my guides, our higher selves, we can find grounding in our roots and in our shared history. And for some of us, we struggle to find elders that can guide us, to find people who practice with integrity. And so that's part of the grounding. My teachers stand behind me, and they stand behind you as I guide you. So we are comforted in that knowledge. I'm going to place the stones. First, a river rock, grounding the element of water. A piece of petrified wood. The knowledge of stone. And a beach rock where the water meets the land. So taking some deep breaths in and out, grounding the soles of your feet or your root, finding a tall spine. Let's come together in this space, selecting your pile from your intuition, remembering that if this message does not sound like your message, then it's not for you, or that there may be multiple messages that apply. So it's up to you to use your own intuition to know whether this is for you or not. And when you're ready, I will meet you at your pile. Pile number 1, welcome to your reading. You chose the river rock or the number 1 through your intuition. So before I even turn this over, I'm hearing bubbling cauldron of goo. So this could be something to do with your stomach, something to do with bile, an overabundance of solar plexus energy. This can come up as issues of pride, ego, getting into a lot of different almost petty conflicts, that kind of thing. So we'll take a look at the tree that you have received today, and we'll see if there's any more information. Blackberry, bramble. Yeah, so there's definitely an acidic quality to your life right now. An overabundance of fire energy and an overabundance of just acid. So even in your diet, You may want to take a look at that, whether you're consuming a lot of acidic foods, and maybe cut down on those acidic foods or substances. Similarly, there's something about sinuses here. So like prickly, you may be coming into allergies or something like that. And this is going to cloud your judgment. So don't make big decisions on a day that you're having sinus flare-ups. These messages are really weird. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm gonna go with it and I'm gonna deliver them to you. The vine that bears the most fruit has the most thorns. This is, it feels like whatever you're being called to do, maybe it's for work, you're tripping up along the way, or getting stuck, getting cut, getting like it's been a difficult path. I do really feel like this has something to do with work, but it could be anything to do with like a material situation. I feel something earthy, something like maybe it's procuring a home or a business. This could also be related to your health, but and because there are enough people watching, and this is a general reading, discern for yourself what this message is about. But I'm really feeling like, you know, the berries only come out at a certain time of year, can only be harvested at a certain time of year, and the rest of the year it's a thorny bush. And I'm really feeling like this reflects this journey you've been on to create something, to build a community. I'm also getting a 3 of Pentacles thing here, where it's like it's a communal project, or you've been trying to have these partnerships, you've been trying to have to build something with other people or get a project off the ground, and it's been a struggle. And what that's done is it's thrown your solar plexus into spasm almost. So there's a lot of nervous and anxious energy. There's a Virgo energy here, big time. And it has, maybe you're experiencing digestive issues or a lot of acid reflux, and this is directly connected to this situation. Like maybe you've had to defend yourself or go into that ego and pride place. You know, the ego, I don't believe in getting rid of the ego. I think that it's a necessary tool, and it's just something that we bring into balance, and that sometimes the ego is necessary to lead us through certain situations. And I feel like your ego has been necessary. But what's even more important is the confidence that you've built. So maybe dropping into a space of confidence and trust is really going to help you and ground you at this time. So let's see if we can get more information about this. I have the Wildwood Tarot. So how this works. Wow, the Green Man. Okay, yes. So in the Standard Rider-Waite Tarot, this would be the Emperor, which is Aries energy, again, very much connected, but also look at the boiling up from the belly. So there have been, maybe there's a lot of reaction that's happening, and you're in need of grounding in order not to like lose your cool, lose your temper, and keep that perspective. You know, if you're in that space of always feeling like you have to defend yourself, it brings out, because I did pull the Green Man in reverse, which is kind of like a, the boiling cauldron is spilling all over you. So it's actually hurting you more than the people that you're defending yourself to, that you are in that space. But there is a tremendous amount of power if you ground. So if you connect with your root. So how can you connect with your root? What is the root or the core of this? I feel like it has to do with, there's definitely some creative energy. This is fire and earth, which is funny. Those are the candles I pulled for this reading. Wow, this is powerful, you guys. Number 2, so in Rider-Waite, that would be the High Priestess. This is the Seer in the Wildwood Tarot. So this is a project that involves a lot of intuitive and creative energy. And it feels like you are the creative and intuitive base to this soup, if you will. So if it's partnership, you are maybe not the numbers guy in the project, or you're more of the ideas person, or you're not being taken seriously for the numbers and you're being looked at as there's a form of leadership that you are capable of that you're not taking that opportunity to be that leader. This is sort of like, and maybe not for all of you, but this is one of those situations where maybe someone is treating you a bit like a flake. Maybe this project involves something highly intuitive or creative, and the perspective of your partner or the community is that you are flaky or ungrounded, or maybe that's your perspective. And so when there's like being underestimated, and I don't think it's just other people that are underestimating you. I think you have underestimated yourself. And this is where you come into that space of defense, because there's a level where you're capable, like you see who is involved in this project or in this scenario, and you know that you are the most capable, or that you have capabilities that exceed what you're doing now. And so you're trying to get people to trust you, but I feel like you just need to step into that role. I feel like if you step in and assume that leadership role, it will be received. Holy moly. You can trust that it will be received. It will transform your life. It will transform this situation completely. This is the journey. Number 11 is our death card. So this is this is a change and a transformation that it will completely change your career. It will completely change your life. It's you stepping into a new role, and it will only continue from there. So for instance, if you've always been an associate and you're looking to be a manager because you know you have the skills and abilities, this is stepping into that role. This is just an example, but stepping into that role. And from there, you will never go back again. You will never be an associate again. And maybe I'm getting the feeling that part of this lack of confidence, or how you've burnt yourself, is that you've taken this journey before. You've been through this cycle before. So maybe you built a business before, or maybe you had, promotions before, and then you lost them. So whatever it is, and again, if this isn't about career, if it's about like getting a house, it's like, you've been here before, you've put your bid in before, and then it fell through, or you've bought a house before and things kind of didn't play in your favor. And so that's where that lack of confidence kind of came from, or taking the back seat, or not really trusting your intuition. But you can totally trust your gut on this. Like, your body knows what it's doing. Last one, 8 of Vessels. Okay. I feel like there are very few people you should be answering to when it comes to your ideas or to whatever this is. So if it's your health, there's maybe one doctor that's right about this situation. If there is, maybe you only talk to your partner, not even your business partner, but your partner at home about this idea. It's almost like keeping things to yourself and walking away from popular opinion, walking away from the idea that you have to please a lot of people, or this is sort of like applying for the promotion without telling anyone that you're doing it. Maybe writing that article or that novel without telling anyone that you're doing it, or submitting something without, passing it through. So maybe you normally have a group of people that you do this with, and this is kind of taking action on your own. However, we do have that communal aspect that we started with, that 3 of Pentacles energy that involves building something with other people. So there are other people involved, but they only know what they need to know. This isn't about being deceptive. This is just about keeping your cards close to your chest. Okay, so we're gonna get a few advice cards from the Whispering Woods. Love this deck. Love this reading. There's so much power, honestly. Pile number 1, you have so much power behind you here. Your life is changing for sure. Take respite by a pond and be kind to yourself and others. I really feel like being kind to yourself is going to change your situation so much. Believing in yourself. You have 3 major arcana here. That's extremely powerful. This is change on a spiritual level in a big way, and journey. Branch out to new worlds. So part of what is going to happen here, so how do we ground the belly? You can ground the belly through the foods that you eat. Think of what helps you to feel grounded and comfortable in your body. So a lot of root vegetables can do that for us. Drinking grounding things, like for me, dandelion root tea with some oat milk is really grounding, but that's just for me. So it could be different teas, experimenting with different teas. Setting the intention to ground, sending the energy down and out through the root is really going to help. And I'm just going to take this moment to plug my class. I have Finding Your Feet up on Friday, March, I think it's the 14th, the 12th, I'm not sure, but the information will be in the description box below. So we're going to work on different ways of grounding and exploring our feet through yoga and meditation. So it's an hour and a half, and yeah, you can check that out down below. But I really feel like this is a lot to do with it. Once you ground, and once you it's like coming into your body and trusting that your gut knows, that your body knows. I think I'm going to leave it there for you, pile number 1. It's been my pleasure to do your reading. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Pile number 2, this is your reading. You chose the Petrified Wood. So petrified wood is wood that is so old it turns to stone. And I I went to a petrified wood forest in Namibia, and it was just a bunch of rocks out in the desert. But it's really cool to think about that something can transform over the years. Our fire candle has gone out. Let's just relight that sucker for you. Sorry. So I hope this finds you well. Intuitively, I am getting the message, something about breaking, something breaking. So let's take a look at the card and see what messages it has for you. You have the hawthorn. Okay, so I'm getting a very like heavy energy on your back, like you're wearing something around like a backpack. It could be, I'm getting burdens. I'm getting very 10 of Wands kind of energy where, you know, the person is climbing up a mountain with with a bundle of 10 wands. And it's just been, you know, one thing after another, and it's feeling really heavy, and you're about to put down the bundle. But there's been a lot of misalignment. There's been a lot of adjusting to different situations. I know this sounds kind of redundant during a pandemic. Maybe you're not watching this during pandemic. If not, hello in the future. But it does feel like all of the things that go along with that, you know, constant change, constant adjusting. You think that you have something figured out, and then the bottom drops off, and it feels hard to restore the balance. It's almost like life is like playing tricks on you, or is, you know, pulling a fast one on you. And maybe it feels really unfair. I'm getting that it feels, you know, more than once, whether you admit it or not, you've been like, this is so unfair. Like, why, you know, maybe even why me? Maybe you've entered into that space of why me? In terms of grounding, you know, putting down, energetically putting down that bundle, and I'm getting that it's like really, there's a lot to do with the throat and shoulders. So this is a bit of heart, a bit of throat in terms of energetic grounding. I don't know why, but I'm getting traditional songs or poems or stories. Speaking them out loud will help to clear this blockage. Some of you may be channels for ancestral wisdom. That's not going to be everyone, but if for those of you out there who are channels for ancestral wisdom, this is about speaking in that tongue. So this could be also taking up the language of a culture that you feel in your bones, like something from your history, something from your ancestry, or learning it. And opening your heart could be listening to the music. There's a lot here to do with music, lyrics, poetry, that kind of thing. Also looking up the lyrics and reading them as a poem. Sharing music with others is going to help you to express your emotions. So sending, you know, if there's a song that makes you think of someone, sending them that song. That is a level of vulnerability that some people access easily and other people don't. Like, it's a secret that they keep almost, this song that reminds them of you. And so being open to opening your heart or writing these things down, maybe writing a letter to someone. Yeah, you can ground through writing. You can ground through singing, playing an instrument. This is going to help you with the misalignment. Okay, so if you are a musician, some of you out there are musicians. this is like the misalignments where like maybe you're trying to promote your music and or find a band or find people to play with, and you've been playing kind of like misaligned music. Like it hasn't felt right to you. It hasn't felt like what you, like a true expression of your soul. And this is about finding that. Like you're starting to find that. That's been part of the burden. That's been why, you know, maybe you're trying to launch a music career even, and wondering why it's not taking off. And it's because the music isn't a true expression of yourself, because you've got this big gift to bring. Okay, and we have the 4 of Arrows. Okay, so this feels like you have taken, in order to ground, you have to rest. So taking pauses, maybe your instinct with all this fire energy is to drive everything forward always. And maybe that's the way you've always done things. But in times of rest, you will experience the most transformation. This is going inside and finding that sacred seed in the self. And I'm getting, it's like anchoring yourself in all 4 directions, anchoring 4 different aspects of something. I know I've focused a lot on music, but it could be something else. But everything that you're doing to ground is anchored in these 4 corners. If you could, it could be the 4 elements, it could be the 4 directions. Seven of Stones. Okay, so there's something that has all of these like burdens, all of these things that have piled up have created this residual like gunky energy. And it's really just through this rest and this expression through your throat and the opening of your heart space that you're going to get to where you need to get to. But that's not something that you can really actively do. Like you can plug away at it, but it's not something, it's more like you have to have patience. It's indicated here with this is like a shamanic energy, a green man or woman energy. And they are healing this injured man at the center of a circle. So this is taking respite in some sort of spiritual practice. This person, the other part of this that's really interesting is that we have a man lying on his belly and a man lying on his back. So this is grounding both your front and back bodies, that you need it in equal measure. Sometimes people need to ground their back, you know, what's behind them. And sometimes people need to ground their belly, what's in front of them. But you need to ground both your past and your future. These messages have been really great today. I'm really loving, and thank you to our guides, our ancestors, the energies or entities that are present. The 7 of Bows, 7, 7. Yeah, things are changing up, things are shifting, but they're doing it sort of in the background. Clearance, healing, rest. This is really stripping away everyone else and everything. And you do have to carry this weight the last bit of the way alone, in that you are not going to discover, okay, let's go back to the music or to the poetry or to the lyrics. I have this sense that you're not going to discover it through collaboration with others. You're going to discover it from stripping back to the self. So what I'm getting a sense of here is that you adapt and you're very mutable. So maybe you're one of the mutable signs. That's Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, and Sagittarius. So maybe you have a lot of that in your chart. But your mutable energy means that you shapeshift. So you adapt to whoever you're with. But it's really important that you not adapt, that you stay fixed in your center. And one of the ways that you can stay fixed in your center is to know your heart. So if you have, and a lot of times this happens with mutable people, is that your heart shifts with the people that you're around, because you want, in your heart, you want the best for the people around you. You know, that's why we adapt. We adapt because we want them to have the best possible time, and we want them to express their their true selves. And we're really good at supporting that, particularly, not all of the signs, but I know like Virgo and Pisces are known to be very nurturing signs. So there's this like, we want to support people and we adapt to those people, but if we don't know our hearts and we're not fixed in our heart space and what we want and what we love, we can kind of like go off our own path or mislead ourselves. And it's not that you don't love what's going on over here. Like, it's not that you don't love what other people are doing or what, the collective is doing right now, but what is true for you. So we're grounding the heart space, we're grounding the throat, leading to this clarity. There it is, clarity, the breath of life. An infusion of energy that will just propel you forward after this time of rest, after this time of healing, after this time of clearing away what is or isn't you. And I feel like for everybody, whenever I do these readings, everything is on a spectrum, including the timeline. So for some people, this is like you're already kind of at the end of the journey. You've gone through all of this, and I'm just, what's the word? Affirming, or something you already know, or this is something you already know is about to unfold. You just need that reassurance or that confirmation. But this new, fresh breath of life is what's coming. This is what, it's like you're struck with. When you clear the throat and you open the heart, it's just going to be a whoosh, like a rising up of this idea that is so perfect and so clear and so exactly what you've been looking for and what you've been struggling for all this time. Because I do feel like this is a fairly long journey. I feel like, this is the answers that we're dealing with here, or the clarity that we're looking for here, has been something you've been chasing, potentially your whole life. And we have adventure. It won't focus for me. Adventure, it says live wild and free. Interesting. Because the burdens bind you. Let your shoulders relax. Did I say something about a backpack? It's like you're carrying a heavy backpack always. That's how it feels, that you're carrying a heavy backpack. So energetically, like, take that backpack off. Let it go. You don't have to carry it. What's in the backpack even? Maybe that's something to uncover. Maybe that's something to know. What's in the backpack? And kindness. We had this in the last pile. Take respite by a pond and be kind to yourself and others. Yes, be kind to yourself and others. I think part of that, the opening of the heart, is going to help you with that, as well as like drop your shoulders down. They don't need to be by your ears. They don't need to be there. That's what I have for you, pile number 2. Thank you so much for joining. It's been my pleasure to read for you, and I hope we'll see you soon. Pile number 3, I cannot get the candles to stay lit, so I'm feeling like you are my lethargic pile. You are the one that has maybe an overabundance of earth energy. Maybe you've been feeling heavy, depressed. You've been grounding yourself with overspending, overeating, that kind of thing. And you had the shore pebble, so where the water meets the earth. It's almost this mud energy where you're like stuck in something. You're stuck in something heavy. You're stuck in something tricky or difficult. And it's emotions meeting the material world. So that's where the overeating or the overspending or the hoarding, and maybe everything. Keep in mind, everything in my readings is on a spectrum. So sometimes I'll speak of something and it can be that you experience this in a very light way, or all the way to, in some cases, pathological. Everything's on a spectrum, right? So it's up to you to know where you sit on the spectrum in whatever I'm discussing. So, maybe you're just eating a few extra things, or maybe you have a full-on eating disorder, and, just know kind of where you sit. That's for you to know. Okay, let's take a look at what card you have here. You have oak. Okay. So oak has a very sturdy trunk, and it looks very sturdy. It's very strong. An oak that survives a lightning blast or that has been struck by lightning is considered very wise. But the oak also has somewhat shallow roots by comparison to something like an ash tree. And so it's like, I feel like your root chakra is something that you've struggled with a lot in a lot of different ways throughout your life. This seems to me like a root chakra, like almost chronic root chakra issue, that it's been really difficult to ever ground fully, but then you end up dropping into instead of the traveling up through the crown kind of light energy, you end up feeling really heavy and really weighed down and lethargic and things of that nature. It's hard to keep the flame lit. It's hard to keep going sometimes. And yeah, I'm hearing, so another way that this may manifest, some of you, I feel get really pounding headaches and migraines. This is part of this root issue. Root chakra imbalances come from things like trauma, from feeling unstable, from feeling that you don't have enough security. This could be, a deficit in or difficulty with maintaining an income or maintaining a home. Perhaps just you wander a lot and you have this nature that wanders a lot, but you're also seeking, there's this dual aspect of seeking stability. So it's it's hard to keep the fire lit. You burn for a little bit. There's a short burn. It's a stint, a small run, and then you sort of get heavy and you try to plant yourself. But because you had that short burn, you haven't quite made it to where you need to go to create this stability. So I feel this is a bit of the cycle that you're in. And we need to brighten or strengthen or balance that root chakra. This could also dip into sacral chakra, so there could be some sexual difficulties that come up because of this energy. Spark of life, Ace of Bows. Interesting that I said sexual. Yeah. Okay. So some of you have had a lot of partners in your life, and it has created this maybe relationship to your sexuality that you no longer appreciate, or it was a way of kind of rebooting that fire inside of you. It was a way of driving that fire to get you out of a slump or to get you out of a rut. So you kind of used sex as a way of getting yourself up out of a rut. It doesn't mean that you had a lot of partners. Some of you have, for sure. It could also just be that, you know, with your partner, there would be periods where you would have like a really voracious appetite, and it was to try and like kickstart this like slumpy energy. But with the presence of the Ace of Bows, this is the spark of life. So this is what we're looking for is a way to sustain this energy without using, it's like you need this root chakra balanced and you need this grounding in order to stabilize the creative, the sexual, the drive, so that you're not always sprinting, but that you can sustain for longer. 5 of Stones. Endurance. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So quite literally, some of you may struggle with like premature ejaculation. I didn't know I'd be talking about ejaculation in this reading, but that could be the issue that's coming up through this, or like not staying turned on for a long period of time. If this isn't sexual, it's to do with, I mean, sex is a great metaphor for anything creative or anything that you're trying to drive forward. So whether it's your career, it's your health and wellness, you're able to do it for only a certain period of time because you don't have the foundation beneath you. The fire runs out really quickly. It's like when you build a fire, if you've ever built a fire, you have the stuff that ignites right away, but it has to catch to something that can be long burning. And if you don't have that root, that foundation, that grounding, you're not going to be able to allow the fire is going to go out. But I feel like what this has done is it's created this scenario where you feel like either you're behind in your life, like you're not where you should be. So I'm getting like, you know, like I've aged beyond where I thought I would be by now. Like I kind of had this idea of my life and where I would be, and I haven't gotten there yet, but that's okay because you've been figuring this out. You've been operating without a root for a long enough time. And so you kind of feel left out in your peer group potentially. This has led to, oh, and there's the lightning. I talked about the blasted oak. There's the lightning, but there's the tree. The lightning's not hitting the tree just yet. But the spark of life is there. Yeah. You're waiting for that epiphany. 7 of Arrows, insecurity. Okay, so if we are talking about a sexual situation, this is definitely, you know, if you have relationship goals, this could be hurting your relationship goals. In terms of like, it's hard to progress a relationship when you're feeling insecure about not being able to sustain any kind of like sexual encounter, or it's like you're drawing on or relying on old truths to get you through, but they no longer apply. like what you've been doing no longer works. And I think you know that. And I think that this truth has been uncovered. And there's a choice, right? You can feel sorry for yourself, or you can like slip into that victim mentality, or you can find a way to balance this root, to ground yourself, and to move forward and to sustain this longer burn, because you have the potential, you have the energy there for you. The Page of Bows. Stoked. There's that water meets the earth energy with this animal, but the bows are fire. Again, I'm really getting this sprinting energy. So if you can find a way to play the long game, and to communicate your issues effectively is also something that I'm getting. You may fancy yourself a communicator, but I'm getting that you don't communicate about the things that are important, or not in a way that is heartfelt or from the heart space. Almost like you have air in your Venus. Like, if you don't know your astrology, that's okay, but like Gemini, Aquarius, Libra in your Venus, where you like your heart thinks instead of feels almost. So with this impulsive energy, there's a lot of frustration because you have a lot of fire in you, you have a lot of drive, you have a lot of ideas, but without, and I feel like I'm just repeating myself, without this like grounding, you're just not able to sustain them. So how can you sustain them? Some of you, this could be one of you, there's carving. So working with wood and carving into wood is going to help to teach you patience. So there's a lesson in patience here. In playing the long game with things that feel good, so foreplay, rather than just jumping to the middle. Almost, it feels like there's a lot of that. Like you skip the root altogether and just jump right to the solar plexus, right to action. But you have to have this sustaining you. So this is anything grounding, like walking in the woods, holding a rock, feeling your feet on the ground, taking a deep breath. Whenever you're feeling really impulsive or like you want to drive something forward or impatient, it's using different grounding techniques in your daily life, I really feel is the answer for you. And then we have trust. Trust is hard to have with an imbalance in your root chakra. The robin trusts her wings, not the branch she sits on. Yeah, and so when you, okay, this is interesting. So when you have no foundation of your own, you rely on different foundations around you. So you rely on your job as your root. You rely on another person as your root. You rely on this opportunity or that opportunity or some external thing to be your root and your foundation. But that root and that foundation has to be from you. It has to grow up from you, not from something else. Not from something else. I feel like there's somewhere I'm supposed to be. Is this something you experience a lot? There's a seeking. There's a seeking, and that's a Sagittarius energy for sure, the seeking. caution. I can't get this to focus. Sorry. It says, tread softly so as not to disturb the woodland floor. I'm not quite sure what this is talking about. I'm going to get a third card to see if I can clarify. What is this caution talking about? Renew. Nature continuously renews itself year after year. With trust and renew, this is patience in timing, so that some of these things that you want to come to fruition are not going to necessarily come to fruition right away. This is about the path developing in front of you instead of you like burning it in front of you, because with, you know, without the foundation of whatever this is for you. So this could be a relationship, this could be work, this could be just your life in general. I'm really feeling like it has to do with stability and security. Trust that this is unfolding the way it needs to. I have a class, I don't know if I've plugged it to you yet. I have a class, Find Your Feet. It's on Friday, March 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are going to explore many different ways of grounding through that practice, both in meditation and in yoga. So the information is in the description box below if you're interested. I would love to have you there. This caution, please let me know down below what this means to you, because I'm not getting any messages for it. It's such a weird, quiet space, and I would love to know how it speaks to you. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you soon.